Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we are going to understand why is the Bay of Bengal region often witnesses cyclones, particularly the tropical cyclones. Now, the notes that I will be using in this particular session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to this Telegram channel called as ETS Live and download the notes. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So let us start by understanding the context of our today's discussion. And you must have heard that the cyclone Monta has actually made a landfall in the coastal regions of India. And next few days will witness extremely heavy rainfall and gutsy winds in different parts of the country, be it on the eastern coast and also in some areas in the central part of the country, that is states like Chhattisgarh. So the most important factor that you'll have to understand in today's video, that this cyclone originated in the water body that is the Bay of Bengal region. So we are going to understand the meteorological and geographical conditions behind it, why so many cyclones originate in Bay of Bengal region. But before understanding this factor, it is essential for us to understand what are the geographical factors that leads to formation of cyclone, and then we'll try to cover this aspect of our today's discussion. Now, tropical cyclone is a large system of rotating winds, and this happens whenever temperature of a region rises. So whenever temperature of a region rises, it leads to intense heating, that leads to formation of a low pressure area. So the consequence of formation of a low pressure area is that the air around the region moves inward inside this low pressure system, and when it spirals, it creates a condition known as cyclonic condition. Now, the cyclonic condition rotates differently in northern as well as southern hemisphere. In northern hemisphere, the cyclonic conditions move in an anticyclonic direction, which is opposite in the case of southern hemisphere, where it moves in a clockwise condition. So this is essential for your UPSC exam. Now, this is a typical tropical cyclone when it originates in the northern hemisphere. As you can see, the areas or the winds around it, they converge inside a low pressure system, and it gradually uplifts, creating an adequate condition for cyclones. Now, as I told you, the word here is tropical cyclones. These are the cyclones that develop between Tropic of Cancer as well as Tropic of Capricorn. And these are one of the most devastating wind systems across the world, creating mayhem whenever it makes a landfall. Now, these cyclones are known different or by different names in different parts of the globe. For example, in our Indian Ocean as well as Southern Pacific, these are called as cyclones. Whereas in Atlantic and Northeastern Pacific, that is around the coast of US, these are called as hurricanes. And on the Chinese coast, that is on the Northwest Pacific, these are called as typhoons. Similarly, they are also known as willy willies in the region of Australia, right? So these are the different names cyclone goes by in different parts of the country. What we are going to understand, these are tropical cyclones, and where they develop between the regions of Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Now, what are the stages of formation, or how does actually cyclone form? Let us understand this in our today's video. Now, the most essential condition for formation of a cyclone, as I told you, is occurrences of warm temperature. Particularly, there should be a rising temperature in the seawater, and it should be at least 26.5 degrees centigrade, so as to develop a condition which would favor evaporation of water vapor. And this creates a low pressure zone, that is warm moist air. When it rises due to heating, it creates a low pressure zone, and areas or air available in the surrounding areas, they would start rotating, and then they would converge into the low pressure region. So suppose this is a low pressure region, so air would converge into these areas like that. And as why aren't straight moving into the low pressure region? It is because the existence of Coriolis force, and that is why this system becomes a rotating system, and this is very essential for a cyclonic system to develop. Now, there is a very good reason why cyclone systems don't develop at an equator, because at an equator the Coriolis force becomes zero, so it won't lead to a rotating form of a wind system, and that is why cyclones only develop some degrees on north or some degrees south of the equator, not exactly at the equator. This is because Coriolis force is very essential for development of cyclones. Similarly, this area right at the center of cyclone, this particular area, let me highlight it. This particular area, it is called as eye of a cyclone, and there is a very good reason why it is called as eye of a cyclone. Now, in eye of a cyclone, the thunderstorm activity builds near the center and winds concentrate around a warmer core. But as I told you, cyclones are one of the most devastating wind systems across the world. But surprisingly, the eye of a cyclone is a very calm area, and areas around the eye is where the thunderstorm activities take place, that is areas beyond the eye wall. Now, for development of thunderstorm, the condensation activity is very important. Now, let me give you a brief of what is condensation activity. Now, as I told you, development of a low pressure favors the development of a cyclone, and in the low pressure, there is an upliftment of the moisture, and this rising moist air, when it cools down, it leads to the phenomenon of condensation. And water vapor, when it condensates, it releases some kind of a heat, which is called as latent heat. And this latent heat is basically the driving force of a cyclone. So without the development of latent heat, the cyclone won't develop and it won't intensify. So again, the energy source of the cyclone is the latent heat of condensation, which is released during the process of condensation when warm air uplifts and it leads to formation of water droplets, that is condensation. And this supply of latent heat is what leads to cyclone intensification, because only after continuous release of latent heat, then only your cyclone would intensify, would become stronger and more menacing. So these are the stages of formation of cyclone. Now, once again, I mentioned the word tropical cyclone, which means there should also exist in this world called as extratropical cyclone, and this actually happens. But there is a very substantial difference between these two types of cyclones, not just because of the areas that they develop. Tropical cyclones, as the name suggests, they develop in tropical areas between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, whereas extratropical cyclones develop in mid-altitude regions beyond the tropical regions. The most important difference between the two is that tropical cyclones have a warm core center. On the other hand, the extratropical cyclones have a cold core center. Now, in extratropical cyclones, the interaction between cold and warm air masses is what creates a potential energy. On the other hand, in tropical cyclones, I told you, it is the condensation which releases the latent heat that provides energy to the cyclonic system. Now, one similarity between the two is that the weather impact due to all these two cyclonic systems are very similar, but there are three differences which I have already enumerated. Now let us come back to our original discussions. Why do so many cyclones develop on this part of the planet? This part is called as Bay of Bengal region. So there must be some geographical conditions, there must be some meteorological conditions, right, which allows for more cyclone to be developed in and form in Bay of Bengal region. So let us understand those factors one by one. First is a geographical factor, that is existence of a funnel shaped geography in the Bay of Bengal region. Now look at this map. Don't you think Arabian Sea basin, it's somewhat more open as compared to Bay of Bengal basin? Bay of Bengal basin makes a funnel in this particular area and therefore it is narrower, and this creates an adequate geography, that is funnel like topography, funnel like shape, which makes it narrow towards the north. So Arabian Sea is somewhat wider in the northern region, whereas Bay of Bengal is relatively narrower in the region, and this is because of the shape funnel, and this shape funnel amplifies the storm surges, therefore helps concentrate the atmospheric activity near the coast. So this allows for winds and tidal surges to intensify, leading to greater destruction during the landfall of cyclone. So this is the first reason, that is the funnel shaped geography of Bay of Bengal. Now the second factor is called as existence of warm sea surface temperature. I told you the most essential condition for development of cyclone is that there should be rising temperatures, particularly rising water temperatures, and cyclones, they draw heat from this process only. So without existence of warm ocean water, you wouldn't expect the cyclones to develop, and the waters in Bay of Bengal are relatively warmer than Arabian Sea, making the waters of Bay of Bengal more conducive for cyclone formation. Because existence of warmer water leads to more evaporation, therefore stronger convection would happen, which leads to formation of more intense storm. So this is the second region. In addition to funnel like geography, second is warmer sea surface temperature in the Bay of Bengal favors development of cyclone. third is shallow depth of this Bay of Bengal region and existence of high moisture availability. Now the waters of Bay of Bengal region are shallower as compared to Arabian Sea. So this leads to more heating of water, and also existence of high humidity and moisture content in the region supports this intense development of cyclonic cloud formation. Also, inflow of oceanic disturbances from South China Sea often enters into a Bay of Bengal through Strait of Malacca. So in Bay of Bengal, not just Chinese Navy ships are entering through Strait of Malacca, it is also the oceanic disturbance. And this oceanic disturbance, when it enters from South China Sea into the Bay of Bengal region, it gains strength borrowing the warmer water of Bay of Bengal. And this creates depression, this creates deep depression and full-fledged cyclones as they move westwards and eventually make a landfall in Indian coastline. So these are the reasons why Bay of Bengal has often witnessed more cyclone. But there is also a seasonal and climatic factor. Particularly in the months of October to November, you will witness this is a peak cyclonic season in Bay of Bengal, and this is because of certain conditions that exist during this time. First is that the monsoon makes a retreat from the Indian subcontinent and it creates a favorable wind conditions. In addition to that, the sea surface temperature, even without the existence of monsoons, remains high because there is no monsoon to cool down the temperature, and this favors a condition of development of a low pressure system, and therefore the cyclonic activity makes a peak during the October-November season, right at the time we are taking this video. So therefore IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, it considers 1 cyclones and 2 cyclonic disturbances and a normal activity in Bay of Bengal. So these were the ultimate reasons. First was funnel shaped geography, third was warmer sea surface temperature, another one was shallow depth and high moisture availability, and arrival of an oceanic disturbance from the South China Sea, in addition to seasonal and climatic factors, that has led to emergence of more cyclones in the Bay of Bengal region as compared to Arabian Sea. Now I've also attached a table for your understanding. As you can understand, the sea surface temperature of Bay of Bengal is warmer as compared to Arabian Sea, and therefore the cyclonic frequency is more in Bay of Bengal region. Now the atmospheric disturbances also add to this volatility. The inflow of atmospheric disturbances from South China Sea is present in Bay of Bengal, which is absent in case of Arabian Sea, and therefore the geographical shape also, that is existence of a funnel shaped geography, amplifies the storm surges, whereas Arabic Ocean is more open, it is having less funnel effect, so the intensity of cyclone may be not as severe as compared to Bay of Bengal region. But recently climate change has made very big changes in the geography of the region. Now there is a possibility that IMD establishes that there are about 5 cyclones on an average in a year in India, and 4 of these originate from Bay of Bengal region, and only 1 of them on an average results from or originates from Arabian Sea. But global warming has created a condition that is sea surface temperatures of Arabian Sea are rising too, and therefore going forward you will witness a increased cyclonic activity even in Arabian Sea region. But despite this factor, Bay of Bengal remains the dominant cyclone basin because of the factors we have discussed, that is due to geography, funnel-like geography, deltaic coast, that is a narrow coastline, similarly a very shallow depth of water, as well as existence of moisture laden environment, which is due to rising sea surface temperature. So all in all factors contribute to rising cyclonic activity in Bay of Bengal. Now before solving the practice question, I have some important announcement. Now we are taking admissions in our 2027 resolution batches for P2I foundation courses. Now what you have to understand that these batches not just provide you live classes, but we also provide you mock test, mentorship support, many of the benefits that we are providing, others won't be able to provide you the same, and even if they do, the kind of quality you'd get here, the kind of teaching you'd get here, you won't be getting it another institute. And this is a kind of an experience that I've gotten from my time in StudyIQ, and that is why I'm in a position to recommend you the same courses, right? So please do consider these courses, and if you make an admission or if you want to make a payment, before making a payment, if you use this code ATS Live, it will help you fetch maximum discounts on our platform. Okay, and this is available for not just 2027 but also for 2028 courses and also for optional courses, right? Now this is a question that appeared in PYQ 2020. I'd want you all to Answer this question in the comment section. Which one of the following options is or are correct? Do let me know in the comment section, and the ones who answer it correctly will get a thumbs up from my side. So this is all for today's video. Please have a very good day.